Thank you for subscribing to our channel. Today is Sunday, November 22, 2020. Al Jazeera report: United States formally withdraws from Treaty on Open Skies. The United States has formally withdrawn from the Treaty on Open Skies, an agreement that sought to foster trust by allowing the 34 participating nations to observe one another's militaries through unarmed flyovers. On Sunday, a U.S. Department of State spokesman said that 6 months had passed since the U.S. in May had notified countries party to the agreement that it was withdrawing. As of Sunday, the United States is no longer a state party to the Treaty on Open Skies, the statement said.
Deutsche Welle report: France plans to jail ecocide offenders for 10 years under new laws. France is set to make serious intentional damage to the environment punishable by up to 10 years in prison, as part of a planned ecocide law, government ministers said in remarks published on Sunday. The law was proposed following a recommendation made by the Citizens' Convention for the Climate, an environmental committee of 150 people, created by the government a year ago. "We are going to create a general pollution offense," said Dupont Moretti.
CNN report: Women fleeing Venezuela are being targeted for abuse amid pandemic border closures. CNN is committed to covering gender inequality wherever it occurs in the world. This report is a collaboration between CNN and the Fuller Project. It is part of As Equals, an ongoing series. If Gabriela Ochoa had known what would happen to her down by the Táchira River that divides Venezuela and Colombia, she never would have crossed. But her family was desperate. The 21-year-old single mother had been struggling as Venezuela's economy collapsed under the regime of embattled President Nicolas Maduro.
Fox report: Sons of coronavirus victim criticize Cuomos Emmy after horror show. In nursing homes, New York Gov. Andrew Cuomo will be receiving an Emmy Award for his coronavirus briefings, but brothers Peter and Daniel Arbini joined Fox and Friends Weekend to reminisce on his doomed decision to fill nursing homes with COVID-19 patients. The Arbini brothers' father passed away while undergoing rehab in a New York nursing home. Daniel Arbini said their family tragically lost a total of 5 relatives that same week, 4 dying from COVID-19, 3 from nursing home exposure.
CNN report: A New Jersey restaurant with a coronavirus scare stayed open because of the generosity of a neighboring barbershop. A New Jersey restaurant was able to continue operating during the pandemic thanks to the generosity of a nearby barbershop. Following a positive coronavirus test among its staff, the Worst Bar restaurant in Jersey City decided to temporarily close down to allow for quarantine and staff testing. Worst Bar is a small team run by an extremely hardworking and loyal staff, the company said in an Instagram post.
Al Jazeera report: Biden team forges ahead with transition as Trump pushes recounts. President-elect Joe Biden's transition team is forging ahead despite President Donald Trump's continued, and increasingly long-shot attempts to overturn the election results. Biden's incoming chief of staff, Ron Klain, in an interview on Sunday called on Trump and the little-known General Services Administration, an agency that can unlock key provisions of the law governing presidential transitions, to allow the transition to move ahead without delay.
Deutsche Welle report: Coronavirus Digest: U.S. expected to begin vaccinating next month. Dr. Moncef Slaoui, head of the Operation Warp Speed coronavirus vaccine program, said he plans to ship vaccines across the country within 24 hours of approval from the Food and Drug Administration (FDA), with vaccinations beginning on December 12. The FDA, which oversees vaccine production in the U.S., is scheduled to meet on December 10 to discuss Pfizer's request for emergency authorization for its COVID-19 vaccine.
BBC report: COVID, Gaza health system, days from being overwhelmed. Of Gaza's 100 ventilators, 79 are already taken up by COVID-19 patients, said Abdelrauf Elmanama, of the enclave's pandemic task force. Densely populated Gaza, with 2 million residents and high levels of poverty, is vulnerable to contagion. On Sunday, the health ministry reported 684 new cases and 3 more deaths. It has recorded more than 14,000 coronavirus cases and 65 deaths in total. In 10 days, the health system will become unable to absorb such a hike in cases, and there might be cases that will not find a place at intensive care units, said Mr. Elmanama.
Fox report: Rep. Jordan rips coronavirus restrictions. The Constitution is not suspended during a crisis. Rep. Jim Jordan, R. Ohio, urged states implementing new coronavirus restrictions to consider the constitutionality of their actions, he said in an interview with Watters World on Saturday. Some of the new and tightened guidelines surrounding Thanksgiving gatherings include wearing a mask inside your home in Pennsylvania, limiting the number of people to no more than 6 in Oregon, with the threat of jail time if violated, no singing allowed in New Jersey and no dancing at weddings in Ohio.
Deutsche Welle report. Coronavirus. German foreign minister slams COVID protesters' Nazi resistance comparison. German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas on Sunday slammed anti-lockdown protesters for trivializing the Holocaust. Maas said people who compared themselves to Sophie Scholl in modern Germany mock the courage that it took to show resistance to the Nazis. That trivializes the Holocaust and shows an unacceptable historical ignorance. Nothing connects the coronavirus protests with resistance fighters. Nothing.
BBC report. COVID. Australia state reopens border after COVID cases plummet. Victoria, which imposed a tough lockdown after a surge in cases, has reported no new infections since the beginning of November. The state is also relaxing its rules and wearing face masks. Australia has recorded about 900 deaths and 28,000 infections in total. The country has relied on lockdowns, widespread testing and aggressive contact tracing to push daily infections nationwide close to zero. Australia shut down its international borders early in the pandemic and requires all arriving travelers to spend 2 weeks in quarantine in designated hotels.
Fox report. Putin holding off on U.S. presidential congratulations. President Vladimir Putin says Russia is willing to work with whomever is officially declared the next president of the United States, but that he won't offer congratulations until the winner is formally decided or a candidate concedes. Putin's remarks broadcast Sunday on state television reiterate earlier Kremlin comments on why Putin had not congratulated Joe Biden after major news organizations called him president-elect, as did many other world leaders.
BBC report. China seeks to retrieve first moon rocks since 1970s. It is hoped the unmanned Chang'e-5 probe, to be launched on Tuesday, will bring back samples to help understand the moon's origin and formation. The last mission of its kind, Luna 24, was by the Soviet Union in 1976. If the latest probe is successful, China will become the third country to have retrieved lunar rock, after the US and the USSR. The Chang'e-5 spacecraft, named after the ancient Chinese goddess of the moon, will be launched by a Long March 5 rocket.
CNN report more retailers are closed on Thanksgiving this year. The pandemic has transformed the holiday shopping season. Another major difference this year: people planning to shop on Thanksgiving will have fewer options than they have had in the past. Walmart, WMT, Target, TGT, Best Buy, BBY, Dick's Sporting Goods, DKS, Bed Bath & Beyond, BBBY, and other major retailers announced their decision over the summer to close stores on Thanksgiving Day. Macy's announced in September that it will close on Thanksgiving.
Al Jazeera report. Hundreds gather for funeral of Serbia's patriarch Iranej. Hundreds of people have gathered for the funeral of Patriarch Iranej, the head of the Serbian Orthodox Church, who died at the age of 90 after contracting COVID-19. The ceremony took place on Sunday at the Church of St. Sava in the Serbian capital, Belgrade. Due to coronavirus-related restrictions, most mourners watched the rituals on a screen outside the church, while Iranej's relatives, clergy and dignitaries, including President Aleksandar Vučić and Milorad Dodik, the Serb member of Bosnia's presidency, were allowed inside.
Fox report. China president proposes global QR code health system to boost travel amid pandemic. Chinese President Xi Jinping on Saturday proposed using a digital health code system as a fast track for orderly travel between countries, while calling for stronger international coordination to re-establish cross-border movement amid the coronavirus pandemic. Xi addressed other world leaders at a virtual meeting for the G20 Riyadh summit when he said that a QR code system could help open up travel by allowing for coronavirus test results to be recognized internationally, the South China Morning Post reported.
CNN report. How a small family-run cider business is still breaking even during a pandemic. Just surviving will be a huge success for most small businesses this year, and few expect to break even given all that's happened as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. Yet Meriwether Cider in Boise, Idaho, is on track to meet that mark, thanks in large part to COVID-related federal assistance, according to Ann Ledbetter, who owns the business with her husband and 2 daughters. Also helpful. Merriweather Cider makes money a few ways. So while some lines of revenue took a hit, others went up.
Thank you for watching 5 p.m. recap. To be notified, you can subscribe our channel and activate the bell.